I hereby call to order this King George County Board of Supervisors budget work session. Do we have any public comment? Anyone in the audience who wishes to provide public comment? Seeing none, Mr. Dines, do we have any online? Thank you very much. All right, so before we get started, our finance department is here today to present. I do want to take a moment and go around the room and give everyone the opportunity to introduce themselves, because this will be, with maybe a couple of other additions, our working group to work through the budget process for this budget session. I want to especially thank all of our citizen appointees who are here joining us today. So if we could start, why don't we start with Mr. Granger? We'll go through the Board of Supervisors, and then we'll work our way through the rest of our team. All right, thanks very much.
I'm Richard Granger. I'm Board of Supervisors for the James Madison District. Looking for anything else, Ms. Kupka? I don't know if there's, okay.
Jeff Stonehill, Board of Supervisors from the Dalgern District.
Annie Kupka, at-large supervisor.
Kathy Minder, Shiloh supervisor.
Jeff Bush, James Monroe District.
Hi, my name is Kathy Thompson. I don't know what else you want to know. I've lived in King George, I guess, 7 years. Love it here.
And whose appointee are you, ma'am? What district do you live in? James Monroe. Thanks very much.
I'm Larry Hughes. I'm the interim county administrator.
I'm Donna Hahn. I'm the director of finance with King George County. I've only been here since November, so this is my first county budget work session.
Levita Cobb, Department of Finance, Accounting Manager and Training.
I'm Sierra Huber. I am working on internship hours for my graduate program currently, and I've been working for the county for 10 years in King George County Schools.
And Ms. Huber is my appointee.
And I'm Brian C. Richard's appointee. Been here in the county for just about 26 years, worked at Dalgern for about 32 years.
Thank you very much, everyone, and thanks again for coming out and volunteering your time. All right, then, Ms. Hahn, are you ready to begin your presentation, ma'am?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. We're just going to go over the budgeting process. I'm sure many of you are already familiar with how we do the budget here in King George County, but we just felt like we wanted to start with a refresher. The presentation provides the groundwork for the building of the budget and also monitoring it throughout the year here in King George County. The annual and operating budget is a document that details the financial plan for the local government that also must incorporate all legal statutes, ordinances, and regulations. The budget does not end with the adoption. The budget is monitored and amended throughout the fiscal year. The budget at the point of adoption and throughout the fiscal year is balanced between anticipated revenues and expenditures. These are the following are key items used during the budget process. The current and previous year budgets with actual expenditures and revenues, prior year financial reports, current year financial reports including cash flow projections, debt service requirements, contracts and other commitments, state and federal aid information, internal financial policies, multi-year capital plans, new and pending legislation, goals and objectives of the staff and the Board of Supervisors. This year's timeline is a little bit off due to the closing of the books late for fiscal year 20. So normally November, December, which we did get out the budget letter to all the department heads in December, but the year didn't close until the end of December. So we extended the documents that were required back from the department heads until January. So in January and February, we were identifying the key expenditure and revenue variables such as compensation, health insurance, state funding, and other economic trends that may affect the upcoming year. We started scheduling our budget work sessions, and that was actually scheduled at this one at the end of February. The Department of Finance meets with each department director to review the request to ensure all required data and justifications are included in the request. This is done in detail by each line item. Then the Department of Finance meets with the county administrator to review the request. During March and April, we hope to be able to complete all of our budget work sessions. The Department of Finance and the county administrator continue to review the budget and make any adjustments. The Department of Finance presents forecasted revenues to the county administrator for review. Hopefully in April, the county administrator will present a proposed budget and the Board of Supervisors approves a public hearing advertisement. April-May timeframe will have the public hearing and adopt tax rates and an operating budget, and the board approves the appropriation resolution, which establishes the spending authority to begin July 1st in May. Our revenues are combined from 3 different types of sources, and we look at a 3 to 5 year trend when we're projecting the revenues for the upcoming year. The largest source of revenue in our general fund is property taxes, which include personal property and real estate. It's comprised of local, state, and federal revenues, and the fiscal year 2020 breakdown is shown below. 73% came from local, almost 16% from state, and 11% from other miscellaneous revenue. Currently, our local revenue sources are the general property taxes, real estate, personal property, machinery, and tools. Then other local taxes such as sales tax, business license tax, meals tax, transient occupancy taxes, and communication taxes. It also includes any permits, fees, and licenses, fines, or forfeitures, use of money and property, charges for services, and recovered costs. State revenue comes from non-categorical aid, mobile home titling tax, recordation tax, and the PPTRA. Categorical aid includes compensation board, social services related aid, Children's Services Act, the Victim Witness Grant, and other public safety grants. Federal revenue comes in the form of categorical aid for social services related aid and public safety grants. The next few slides demonstrate what we work through in the finance department with the department heads. And this is just an example. The figures are not actual in the next several slides. This is just one piece out of a budget, and we're using the finance department as an example. And this is for expenditure code 3500, printing and binding. And each department, if they need something in that particular line, will put the detail of what they're wanting and the cost to produce each of those things. And then that rolls over into a big summary spreadsheet for each department, bringing in all the different expenditure codes and come up with a total budget request for the department. We also use historic expenditures and budgets. This one here shows you that several different fiscal years are taken, the actual expenditures are taken into account, as well as the current year and any where we're at in that particular year and any county administrator adjustments. And then if the Board of Supervisors needs to make any, and then the preliminary budget. Early budget factors for the upcoming year: school funding, compensation costs, outside agencies, health insurance, juvenile detention and regional jail funding, any new position requests, vehicles, and furniture. Significant capital projects that may be in this year or on the horizon: the new courthouse, Company 2 and Company 4 fire stations, need for any new school buses, a new accounting system, decommission Perkins Corner and Overland Park, and the Sidell Brooks Jr. Park Phase 2. The next slide puts an estimated cost to those different items. 23 million for courthouse, the fire station's approximately 14 million, the school buses, and if we do any ambulance, how much they cost for each one of those. Accounting system, 1.5 million, Perkins and Oakland, 4 to 6 million, and Tadell Brooks Park, 100,000. This slide shows that these are the audited fund balance as of June 30th for general funds. And then it shows in the county operating carryovers, county purchase order operating carryovers, the schools operating carryovers, operating budget, revenue stabilization fund, reserve for policy 15% of the total operating budget, and the preliminary estimated at June 30th was $7,324,454. The capital improvement fund, it starts with the fund balances at June 30th, and then any of the carryover projects, capital projects, carryover projects from previous years, the gas fund project, reserve for turf replacement, and reserve for policy debt service are $2 million, leaving a preliminary estimated at $6,805,253. Are there any questions?
Questions from board members? Ms. Bender, go ahead.
Yeah, just a question on the turf replacement. Has that already been done?
Yeah, I don't think so.
But there's money reserved for it. Okay. Thank you.
Citizen appointees, any questions? No? Okay, very good. Go on, Ms. Hahn, thank you.
And that ends my presentation on building a budget presentation, and we'll get more in depth as the work sessions go with looking at some of these different spreadsheets that were just little excerpts put up on the screen. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. And Mr. Hughes, would you like to provide us with the financial overview, sir? Thank you.
2 meetings ago, Davenport & Company, who is our financial advisor, gave us a thorough, complete overview of county financial structure and situation. The year-end results have borne some major fruit in that, as a result of the quick response to the pandemic economy by the board, Dr. Young and the staff, we were able to generate an additional $3.6 million. Some of that $3.6 million came from cutting out of the budget many things that were budgeted last year, and they will be in the budget this year, or I will be recommending to the board that we use some of that $3.6 million to do some one-time expenditures for last year and next year to reserve or to relieve pressure on the tax rate. So some of those requests, as I said, will be in the FY 21-22 budget. The proposed budget will also have some new requests. There's some sort of pent-up need out in the organization that we need to deal with in terms of both equipment and manpower. The budget process is a little late this year, so we do have some time to make up. And the staff will work with you to make up some of that time and get to an adopted budget for July 1. It would be helpful tonight if you would select the departments you want to consider on a detailed basis. Each year you select 3 or 4 departments to go line by line on. It'd be helpful to get that done, and perhaps discuss some possible dates for a joint meeting with the school board that we can talk to the superintendent about. As I said, a small amount of the additional fund balance will be recommended for some purchases that were in the FY21 budget and cut out, and some in the 22 budget, again, to relieve pressure on the tax rate. we recommend that those purchases you will review as we go through the budget. If there are questions, we'll be happy to hear them, and otherwise we'll proceed.
Questions from members? Mr. Bush, yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, sir, you mentioned over the $3 million that we are going to see in addition because of austerity that we experienced this year. With that, are we anticipating any fallout funds from the schools, being the environment that the schools were in this year? Are there any revenue or anything that we had set aside for the school's budget that isn't going to be expended that we can anticipate coming back to the county?
We don't have any sort of projection from the schools at this time. Usually the schools have an ending balance, and I do not know the county's policy on an ending balance with the schools. Some schools keep those balances. Other counties recover them.
Well, for King George County, unexpended funds come back to King George County. So that's why I had that question, because we were talking about, maybe offsetting some impact to the taxpayers in King George County.
Right.
I would think those revenues coming back could be applied in the same manner. I was just trying to get a picture of what we could anticipate.
I'm meeting with the superintendent on Monday, and I'll ask him what he knows about state funds and what he knows about his current year.
All right, thank you very much.
If I could add to that, I'm currently working on projections of the revenue projections and expenditure projections as to where we'll be at the end of the year. And so I hope to have that in the next week completed.
Questions from our citizen appointees? No. Okay, very good. So Mr. Hughes, then we'll move on to selections for line-by-line department budget review. And we have the list from what was reviewed, which departments were reviewed last year. I'm just giving my colleagues a moment.
Last 2 years.
The last 2 years. Suggestions. The blue are the ones that were reviewed in the last 2 years. The stars are suggestions. Knowing that schools are always done every year because we always have a joint meeting with the school board. Are we thinking 6 departments, Mr. Hughes?
At least 4. Depending on the size, some departments are obviously larger budgets than others.
Okay, so we have 6 that are prioritized, so perhaps the board can now have some discussion about narrowing it, winnowing it down a little bit if the board only desires to do 4 line by lines? Is that, okay, go ahead, Mr. Bush.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I would like to look, I'm really open to whatever the board wants to do, but one specifically, being that Mr. Howard is leaving and taking a new position, I would like to look at our solid waste and recycling and get a clean picture for whoever's stepping in. It lines up perfect with that transition period.
Okay, Ms. Bender, any priorities?
That one I agree with too, because we always have questions about landfill and revenue, and so I would like that one definitely. And the
Okay.
Treasurer's office.
Okay, can you pass the list back to me, please, ma'am, so I have it? Thank you. Mr. Stonehill?
I would leave general properties on there as well.
How about human resources? Thank you for volunteering. Okay, so, yeah, voluntold, sorry about that, ma'am. All right, so we have solid waste and recycling, treasurer's office, general properties, and human resources. Consensus from the board, yes? Very good. All right, that's what we're going to go with, Mr. Hughes.
Okay, well, Vera.
All right. And I see next we're looking at scheduling future work session dates. I do know a few of us have a conflict with Mondays that I've been made aware of. Is there, yes? Yeah, for many of us, I'm aware Monday is not the preferred day. So we'd be looking at Tuesdays or Wednesdays. I know we have, at least Ms. Bender and I have service authority work session dates every Thursday in March. So that would eliminate Thursdays for us as well. So we'd be looking at Tuesdays or Wednesdays as the preference.
How far out are we looking?
So when do you want to set the next one? How much lead time do you need for the next work session, Mr. Hughes?
Why don't we try to schedule one again next Wednesday,
Next Wednesday?
and the following Tuesday and Wednesday, so we can maybe pick up some time.
So the following Tuesday is a regular meeting, the 16th. So we'd have to default to Wednesday again that week too. So do we want to do the next 2 Wednesdays?
Richard and I signed up for soccer, coaching our teams on Mondays and Wednesdays. So we were trying to, yeah. We were trying to work around the
Is there
schedule.
a certain time that you have committed that we could perhaps work around the time?
Don't worry.
We can work around it.
Mr. Bush, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to suggest that I think a week to week really wouldn't allow that much turnaround time if the board has questions to follow up with departments or with the state to get answers on certain things. I think a 2-week period between meetings would work. So I would like to suggest 5:30 on the alternating Tuesdays from when we don't have a board meeting.
Would that work for you, Mr. Hughes?
We'll make it work.
And for Department of Finance staff? And for our citizen appointees? Yes? And members, are you okay with that?
I'm fine with the
It
days.
just means we're a ways out.
I don't mind that. I know last year when we started in January, the budget process.
Right.
Now we're starting in March. And so we're compacted schedule, just making sure we have enough time, enough meetings to get everything done.
That is valid.
Maybe.
I like the idea. I just don't know if we'll have the luxury to be able to do it, honestly, that far apart.
Go ahead, Mr. Stonehill.
Anybody have any problem pushing it back until 6?
I'm sorry, say that one more time. I didn't catch it.
6 o'clock? Any problems with pushing it back?
I'm fine with that.
Hour? Citizen folk, are you better 5:36 or gives you a little bit more time to get here?
Okay.
Yeah, 6 would be better for me.
Okay.
6 o'clock
Amenable to that, sure.
every other Tuesday?
Well, I think Richard did have a valid point looking at going back to the timeline, and you figure last year, I think we had 6 work sessions to get through. And I think this year we're going to be facing similar situations. And there's a lot of changes from the General Assembly that are going to be impacting the budget too. So I think maybe week to week might actually be more advantage.
So we do want Wednesdays.
Yeah, we'll make it work, sure.
Because we'll just leave Mondays open.
Yes? Okay, so we are looking at then Wednesday, March 10th at 6 o'clock? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Wednesday, March 10th at 6 p.m. And we'll just need to check with staff to make sure the boardroom is available.
Okay.
I don't know of any standing meetings on Wednesday evenings at that time, but we'll double check with staff. Wednesday, March 10th, 6 p.m. Does that work for our citizens as well then? Very good. All right. Do you have anything else for us, Mr. Hughes?
I don't think we do.
All right.
Do we want to
Yes.
schedule any more than just that one? I'm not trying to force it, but just asking.
So Mr. Hughes and Department of Finance staff, we'd like your input. Do you want to go ahead? And I have a message. The boardroom is available on the 10th. Thank you very much. Eye in the sky.
So about the 17th.
So do you want to go ahead and at least plan the next two? The 10th and the 17th?
Is the 17th a Wednesday?
It is also a Wednesday.
I was only asking, can we alternate on the ones that the board doesn't meet that we do Tuesday? So that would be the 6th. Oh, no, we already have a budget. We have a meeting on the 16th.
We have a meeting on the 16th.
Next week, but I don't know if that's enough time for staff to get.
Yeah.
One less day.
Yeah.
Leave it up to everyone. It is what it is.
Then 17th is fine.
All right, so we have two scheduled, Wednesday, March 10th and Wednesday, March 17th at 6 p.m. in the boardroom. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Do you have any interest or availability to participate virtually? And it's okay if it's a no. But we could make virtual options available to you if you desire. Okay. All right. Anyone else have any conflicts? All right. So I believe then it's March 10th and March 17th at 6:00 p.m. Very good then. All right. I believe we have a closed session. So at this time, I'd like to inform staff and citizens that you are free to leave. We are not going to adjourn because we will have to, resume in closed session. But as far as the budget planning for today, the initial meeting, we are finished with that. So don't feel that you need to stick around. And thank you everyone for coming out.
It's St. Patrick's Day, so it's the 17th is going to be kind of tough. It's a holiday. Yeah.
So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short recess for about 10 minutes, and then we will continue with the meeting. All right, we'll now resume the meeting, and I believe we have a motion for closed session. Mr. Stonehill?
I move that the King George County Board of Supervisors convene in closed meeting pursuant to State Code Section 2.23711A8 for consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel regarding the Ralph Bunch option agreement. I invite the county administrator and county attorney because they are deemed necessary and or their presence will reasonably aid the board in its consideration of topics to be discussed pursuant to VA Code Section 2.2-3712F.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries. We are in closed session.
I move that the King George County Board of Supervisors return to public meeting and certify by vote that only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered during the closed meeting.
Second.
Will each member so certify?
Certify.
So certify.
So certify.
Certified.
So certify. We are in open session, and do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn until March 10th at 6 p.m. in the boardroom.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned.